Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Stormy. I want to say it's the first time in our 41st episode that we have a young lady behind the control board, and I love this. What was your name again? Amisha. Because I didn't want to butcher it and say something. I was super close. So welcome. I'm happy that you're here. Good job. Today is a super exciting day because it's a psychic edition. And anytime we've featured psychics, astrologers, card readers, whatever their modality, it's been a really good episode. With me today is Lynn Woods, and she'll talk a little about her history, but a fascinating, naturally born clairvoyant. Is that how you describe yourself as a clairvoyant?
Clairvoyant, exactly.
Ooh, that's so good. I'm so excited.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh. And so her whole family, like, this is a way of life. It's not interesting to her, and it's no surprise that she has these gifts. So welcome.
Thank you.
Lynn
so
Woods,
very
Thank you. So just a little to ground everybody. You live here in LA
I do.
and grew up here? Is that where you're from?
No, I'm originally from the East Coast, from Pennsylvania. So Pittsburgh, southwest corner.
Oh, nice.
And that was, where I was raised and had
That's
a
why your
nice-
voice, you got like a...
You hear it.
Yeah.
You hear
Don't
you
ever
know-
lose that. It's
Thank
toughness.
you. Yeah, is that what you hear in it?
Well, I'm from
That
outside
strength.
of Chicago, so it's
Yes.
like, you kind of keep that a little bit every now and again.
You do. And so, yes, I'm proud of it. And a good upbringing, both parents, and they were healthy and solid and a good life. And
What were their occupations?
my
Did they...
father was a surgeon.
Oh my gosh, that's so fascinating based on
Yes.
the history of your family. That's the best thing you probably could have been. We got to get to your dad.
Yes.
So
Yeah, my dad's
Lynn
good
comes
stuff.
from like a family of gifts. And I don't know if they were all the same or...
It's what I know of it because of my grandfather was not until I was probably in my 20s, maybe mid-20s. This really was not necessarily spoken of, but when my grandfather, he commented that his great aunt actually was a tea leaf reader, and then it just is generational. We all have it. My father, my brothers, myself, and it's more of.
Do you tea leaf read? It's one thing I haven't
have.
done.
I have. I use tarot, so I'm naturally intuitive. I get things. It's like you walk in a room and you just see to the left. It's a chair. You know that. I mean, I'm human, but nonetheless, there's just a knowing. And I always had that in my life, but I didn't really identify it as far as what it was until later, probably. Oh, I saw different things. We'd see different things, but it's more the sense of the intuitiveness and just knowing.
Is that
And it was more
claircognizance? So there's like
I would-
6 clairs,
yes,
I think, in the
yeah.
world. I'm going to adjust this just really quick. 'Cause I
Oh,
wanna
I'm so
make
sorry,
sure.
am
No,
I
don't be
too?
sorry. I just wanna
Okay,
make
good.
sure, 'cause everything you're saying is
It's
super
so
important. It is. This is
Thank
a
you.
huge thing in the
Thank
way our
you.
world is and things they
Yeah.
can have faith in and trust. And
Absolutely.
So-
About the truth and helping people to understand
yeah,
even
and
themselves.
healers are here. They're
Yes.
amongst us. We just, I'm talking to the choir. Preaching. No, you preach to the choir. Maybe you sing at it, but
No, I like hearing it. It's nice to have it confirmed.
yeah,
Or someone tell you and you're like, yeah, you know what, that's right.
yeah, you're special.
No, not
So-
that part, but thank you.
Claircognizance is kind of like, from what I've read about it, is
Yes.
more of a knowing where you're just kind of
Yes.
like, and then clairvoyant is,
A sight. It's seeing.
oh, you get to
So
see. So
you
there's
can
clair
see.
audible.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, you can hear.
That I do not have. I've heard one or two, maybe 3 things in my life. That's it.
I've heard one.
Yeah.
It's my name
think that's a good
whispered in my ear.
Yeah. My son has experienced. There's a great
Response.
story with him, of what he's. My sons have it as well. And
Really,
so-
both of them.
Mhm,
So
both
you
of
have
them.
2 sons. I have 2 sons. What are their ages of yours?
They're in their 30s. They're adults.
Mine too.
Yeah.
What are their names?
We done good.
Yeah.
Teasing. The name is Toby, and then my other son's name is Christopher.
I have an Austin and a Dylan.
Those are beautiful names.
Thanks. They're good dudes.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Something just popped in my head, so I'm supposed to tell you this. So my mom, part of her upbringing was in Tennessee.
Oh,
And they went
wonderful.
to like snake tents and stuff, so it freaked her out. That's why we didn't have to go down any Christianity path. And she but they did revivals, but all her father's side of the family, I believe, yes, had ointments and like you put a penny in your shoe. So she always called them warlocks and things like this. She could read cards and she foresaw something tragic that happened. She set them down, never did it again. She says, I was 6 years old. My mom, toughest broad ever, right? So I was 6 years old. She didn't tell me this till I was older, but she goes, I was laying in that room in this bed. It's a house I own. And she goes, I woke up middle of the day from a nap, and this golden book comes down in front of me, spinning.
Wow.
And she goes, and I just thought, I'm sleeping. So she goes back down, and she says, then I'm like, okay, I'm waking up. And she says, I look up, the book is there again. So I look at it and I blink, and she goes, and all I said was, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. 3 times, which is not the number. Maybe once. You don't do it 3 times.
She was adamant.
And then the book never came back.
My goodness, is that right?
And then growing up in Utah, I think about like Joseph Smith. You know what I mean? I'm like, Mom, who got the book?
Right.
But this would have been, 1975 or something.
Right.
Crazy, right?
In a way, I mean, for myself as well, we've had this, or my family has it, and then also, but no one talked about it. It's not like we were throwing bones, at the kitchen table and predicting, not at all. My family's very, very modest, and you just go, forward, and same thing, we just go forward in life. Things come, things happen, things, and you just continue to go forward. And I had that when I was pregnant with my second son. I had, a visitation, and that... I can tell you that if you'd like, but okay. Excellent.
Yeah, I think so let's talk about your first moments, like your first clairvoyant moment. Were you young? And then go into like the moments where you either found security or like whatever happened with your son and you think, wow, that was a real before and after. Like I knew I was gifted. I knew the universe was bigger than a book.
Yes. Okay, good. It was really more of a knowing. It was more a sense of a knowing rather than seeing things. Yes, there was seeing some things, but where I would say where it's highlighted, where it really was brought to my attention, and again, my family didn't really talk about it, so it wasn't necessarily identified, which was fine. My father would have prophetic dreams a lot, and so we'd come down in the morning, and my mother would say, your father says, do not take Lou and Lane to school. And we were good, and so we didn't. But that is how it came about, or he'd sense things, and she would relate it to us. Now, in their relationship, maybe there was more of that took place because of their relationship. But anyhow, for me, I would say I was about 6 years of age, and I was home, and I'd been sick the day before, and it was summertime, and I could hear my best friend coming up the driveway, and with her 2 brothers, and I had to stay home that day and recuperate. And so I could hear them asking, can Linny come out and play? And my mother was like, oh, Linny was sick yesterday, so she cannot. She needs to just stay in bed one more day. And I can't believe how sad I was. I could not even believe how sad I was when I was sick. I was 6. I was so sad. And I just was so sad. And then I could hear them, laughing and their voices becoming smaller and smaller and quieter. And then my aunt, who had passed away when I was 3, and she was she was married, she was out of the country a lot, she had a daughter, so I really do not have a distinct memory of her myself. But as I was sitting there in my sorrow, she came before me. It was more just her face, but it was large. And she radiated so much love and so much comfort and so much kindness that I actually felt a lot better. And that was, I don't even know that I told my parents this. I think...
How big was her face?
Face
Just a regular face. Okay,
size,
good.
But it was,
I was like,
it was a cameo.
It better be a lot of love. Auntie coming at you.
Right.
Coming in hot.
Right. No. And then later on, I was in high school, and a group of us were talking, and someone who really we knew, but did not know that well. She came and she started saying, this is, my boyfriend and I said this, and then he said that, and we've broken up, and then he said this and did that, and she's just elaborating on the entire story. And the entire time I'm thinking to myself, you did not say that. You said this, this, and this, and he did not say that. And you know that in 2 weeks, this relationship will be back. And I was so almost horrified. I thought, oh my goodness, Lynn, you are so opinionated.
So narcissistic that
so narcissistic.
you know everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes. And that really stood out in my mind. And then when I was pregnant with my second child, we were in an apartment at the time. It was on the 3rd floor. There was no access to it other than through the front door. So it's not like anyone on ground level could come in. And I awakened in the middle of the night, similar in regards of what you're saying with your mother. And there was an elderly man with white hair just gently coming down. And he was physically present, but not completely solid like you. And he had a white, almost long tunic on. And he just very gently had his hands crossed in front of his body, and he just was gazing at me. And I thought, I'm dreaming. So I'm doing blink, 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 blink,
right,
trying to clear this, and it would not move or be removed. And he was omnipotent. The energy from that I can't even really explain. It was just this power, it was just this strength of just gentle love coming and just gently.
But you didn't know the guy?
I'm sorry?
You didn't know the guy?
No, I did not recognize him at all. And at all, no. And then he turned to the left, and it turned, walked sideways, and then turned again at the center of the bed. And again was just emanating and radiating all this love. And
they're just giving you gifts, both male and female. It's like they gave you yin and yang.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
That's very nice that you look at it that way, because again, we just have it, and I don't.
Yeah, your family's like,
oh
yeah, they showed up for you too. Oh yeah.
I love your
We don't
input.
know that guy.
Yeah, I really, really do.
My mom showed up in front of my stepfather, full form, except the legs he said were translucent, white tunic. Of the most expensive material he'd ever seen. And he was older, very, very Catholic. She was in our home that I still own, where she had the book come to her. And she came across the living room, but was like in her 30s, he said. And she put a white and a yellow envelope in a plant that doesn't exist there.
Yeah.
And so we put plants there. We did everything in that corner, but we never knew what it was.
In honor and recognition.
Yeah, trying to find out what the hell these envelopes meant and what we're supposed to do. Like every yellow and white envelope I ever see, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to give me some instruction.
It could. It could be just representative now.
Like one day, I'm going to be doing something and be like, oh my God, that was my sign I'm on the right track.
Yes. We don't always necessarily know. I'm human. I really am human. I walk this earth. And I'm not God, and I certainly
can be wrong.
I can be wrong. Yeah. And we just really don't know, because we really are just humans
working
on this
with
earth.
7 billion people, and then I don't
hearing
know,
it all.
a few 100 million spirits running around. So you have those 3 moments, and then when are you like confident with? I mean, is this how you make? Is this your career, or you share your gift?
It is now. I can add one more story in there.
Please do. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Is that when that individual came, he came a second time, and it was the exact same. It was a very similar situation. Then that was about a month prior. Then we moved. And my son was only a month old. My second son. And we moved into a house that had been on like farmland, and people built there, and they were new homes. And so I would go to sleep at night, and I would awaken, and I would see like a carpenter working in the closet. And meanwhile, the closet doors would be closed, but I'd see them working in there. They'd be coming and going in the room. People would be milling around. And I obviously didn't understand what that was about, but then I
why are you guys working at 2 a.m.?
Add an addition. I was like,
I am not paying overtime.
Right. So, I would go to sleep and then I would awaken. And that's why I feel when this older man came, it just blew it wide open for me, because then I would go to sleep at night and I would awaken feeling someone was looking at me, staring at me. And I would open my eyes and there would be a face at the tip of my nose. And and I would not recognize the face. I didn't
Male,
identify.
female?
Males, females. It would be one individual. Usually, sometime a second one would come in, but predominantly it was one. And it was night after night after night after night. And I was young. I was only 19, 20. And so, because I married young. And so.
Me too. I had my second son by 21.
Okay. Yeah, we're right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Neck and neck.
Nice work,
Yes.
ladies.
Mm-hmm. Blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was, it got to the point where I even said to my husband, I do not want to, at the time, I don't want to go to sleep because I'm really afraid. And he was very interested in all sorts of things like astral travel and different things like that, which I had no interest in any of that. And so I was surprised. He said to me, well, you're probably dreaming. And he said, next time it happens, let me know. And it did. It happened that very, very night. And that time I awakened and I could feel there was someone in the room. And yet I looked at the base of the bed and there was this massive black mass. It was mountainous in the room, almost to the ceiling, and just spread out very broad. And it actually had a dark energy to it, a heavier energy. And so I was saying to my husband at the time, I was like, his name was Woody. So I was like, Woody, very quietly, because I didn't want the other entity to hear, but of course I'm sure they're hearing everything. And he was a light sleeper, and so he sat up. I just said, look, I did not point, nothing. He sat up, he goes, oh my, G-O-D, oh my God. And then I said, what did you see? And he just flipped and he rolled over, gave me his back. He said, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. So the following morning I said, so did you see something? He goes, yes. What did you see? A big black mass, very dark, heavy dark energy. Where was it located? And it was identical. End of the bed, in between the bed and the bathroom, it was identical to what I had seen. That was actually one good thing with that when I think of when I was married, sometimes he would see what I would see.
Right.
And so that was nice in its way, because someone's confirming it, or you're upstairs on the second
Right,
floor.
you're not
you get
crazy.
No. I never thought I was, fortunately, thankfully. I mean, maybe it's just total
No,
denial, but I never
no.
did.
You accept
and
it.
because I'm just, yes, and I'm very grounded.
So do you think it was the house you were in, or did that tend to be things you saw like at McDonald's?
I think it was, yes, I think it was the pregnancy. I really do, because I found that really, after that, we would go, there was a amusement park that you would go to, like Six Flags, not as well known. But you would go to it, and I was someone who would be on a salt shaker, the up and down, the spin, anything.
Yeah.
Because I always could do that, even as a child, and I loved that sort of thing. And I couldn't do it. I would become physically ill. And even just watching, like a hang glider, where they film.
Yeah.
I couldn't even look
The
at it for a
motion
second.
sickness.
It would just, exactly. But I think it was due to the pregnancy. I really do.
Huh.
I think it just blew it wide open. And then it was that house, yes. That continued to a point where, we built this home in the middle of the night. I just got up and I threw open the window and I'm like, help, just, I thought these neighbors going to, who the heck's, and it was low and deep and desperate, and throaty. And of course I closed it,
Yeah. Every woman's like, yeah, me too. I do it all the time. Yes.
And I just, I'm sure, I don't know if anyone heard it or not. The houses were at some distance, but if they did, anyhow, and that continued. And when I was thinking about this, there were a total of 3 places where this continued. At, interims in between, then where nothing was taking place, other things, but not this nightly thing. And a total of 3 different residences out of probably 5 or 6.
But not all dark.
No. 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 There have been one time when I did hear a voice. I was with a friend of mine, and we'd gone to a jazz restaurant club, and she was from Somalia, and she was speaking of her grandmother, who was the butcher for the village. And so every summer she would have, for 2 weeks, just feed all the people.
Right.
Right,
Chop it
in
all up.
gratitude, yeah. and just feed them all. And so she talked and talked. And it was such a beautiful story. And then when I went home, to sleep, I awakened because there was a female's voice that just said, it's a word. And I thought, this is her name. So I phonetically wrote it down, and then I called my friend Amina, and she said, yes, that is my grandmother's name. So sometimes you would see some dark things, but sometimes,
And
yeah.
did she add, cure your meat for 2 days?
What is she? Right.
Pass this down. She's doing it wrong. My Somalian
Wouldn't
granddaughter.
that have been nice?
What were you doing?
Right.
You chop at the hip.
Yeah, right. That would have been nice.
Well, my only moment, so I have lived my whole life. My mom read me Salem's Lot when I was 9 years old. So we liked the horror, but also the spiritualness. Like it was
Yes.
always, I guess, accepted. Like nothing was crazy.
Right, good.
But I think once I was being babysat at like 2 or 3 years old, and there was this glowing woman on the floor playing cards, and we were visiting someone, and like my cousins or whoever it was were sleeping in sleeping bags, and I just stood up, and she was sitting there flipping these cards, but she glowed like a scorpion with a black light, and I was a little. And I just turned around and went back to sleep and thought, I wonder why we have a babysitter.
Interesting.
Because I knew my mom was home.
Right, you're putting logic to it. I think that's what we've always done.
Yes, that's
All
how
of
your
us.
brain works. Then at, I don't know, probably my mid-20s, I was in my house by myself, getting out of the shower, hair's up, and a towel, and I hear, Stormy, right in my ear. I felt the breath, and I go, what? I sat there for an hour going,
Aw.
what? Like,
Aw.
how could, like, if you're going to, you don't have to say my
Come on.
name. Just say, like, don't turn left at the stop sign. I don't know, but
play
like,
777.
yeah, here's the lottery numbers this week.
Right.
But I never got anything else that I remember.
Well, how patient on your part.
Mm-hmm.
Do
It was like, dang, they made it. Someone made it.
Yes.
And then a couple summers ago, go to the haunted hospital in Tooele, Utah. And anyway, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's truly haunted. There's all kinds of stories. There's a ghost hunt going on, Southern California group, Utah group, we go. On video, it's like locked off. You have all these rules that they're playing pretty good. They don't want to cross-contaminate noises and things like that. Locked door here. Guy materializes. I'm the only person. Again, your brain puts in what it is. But when I look
Yes.
at the video, it's like, it's just a shadow, but
You
it's
do
a
see it in the
person. But you don't see fingers really. It kind of just goes out, but it's there in a light just all of a sudden, and then it moves a curtain. And that's what
Interesting.
everybody else saw. And then the cameraman starts screaming and crying because that's how things happen. So he falls down on the ground, and we don't get to chase it because we thought he was dying. But those are my
melodramatic.
legit where I'm like, those things
Right.
happened. Everything
Right.
else you can be like, did I see that? Or
That's fascinating because that's my way of thinking too. We've all had it. My sons have experiences. I do. I've had voices recorded, on
Yes.
DAT, different things. But that's absolute too. But myself as well, when I was even younger, probably around 4, out playing in the yard, and then they just appeared. There had been a tree that was in a neighbor's, and it was hit twice by a car. Someone lost control. And this was a very quiet, suburb. Just people that were going up and down the streets basically lived in that neighborhood. But someone had hit it, and then it was hit again. I was thinking about it. And then all of a sudden appeared almost like this scarecrow-y type individual and was at a little bit of a distance of normal height. And then it just jumped back behind the tree. And I just
do
thought,
that to you?
I
Scarecrow
know.
as a little kid?
A little scared, kind of doing that little movement with it, exactly. And I cannot believe that I actually thought to do this, yet did it. As I was so puzzled, and it had been so physically present, that I then walked over very, very carefully, kept a little distance, but looked then behind the tree. And there was nothing there. But I'm like you. All these experiences, everything I've had, those are absolutes. But in the end, if I were to go, before whatever, God, however it be, and I'm told, you know what, Lynn, that was just the misfiring of the synapses in your brain. I'm completely fine with that because of I am I identify myself by who I am. Just the essence of who I am, my all of that, those just everything. And so if that ends up being that, then okay. Okay.
No, because science doesn't work that way. Science is smart enough to say we're similar,
Yes.
but the power of us might be suppressed by society, obviously.
Yes.
So, no.
I agree with you.
They'd be
I do
like,
agree with
Lynn,
that word.
get up here. My God, thank you. Thank you for using that additional 2% and never closing your eyes to the magic.
I do agree. I do agree with you, but I do. But, I'm just very rational, like you're saying, too,
Yeah.
very practical with it. And it has to be very absolute,
Yeah.
and,
Whatever happened with the phases?
Well, those continued, and that went on and on and on. And then it seemed to...
No messages, no
no
help me,
messages. One came through, which was a female, which again I did not identify. And within a 3-year period, we built another home and moved in. And then it turned out that was the woman, who was married and had 3 children, who lived next door. And she was disturbed mentally, and she was completely obsessed with me. And that was a very horrific time frame of life. But that face...
She wanted your energy.
I recognized.
Because sometimes mentally ill people have that little something's
that's-
open.
Yes, and that was... Yes, and that was before we had moved there. So I hadn't been on the property. I don't remember if we actually... We weren't even building then at that point. We had not selected that property, but it was, this was as it expanded, the area in which it was being,
Right.
homes were being built. But I agree with you. There's that energy, and they're coming in, and somehow they're aware of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that
She's
was
putting her
horrific.
claws
That was
in.
that was a very unhealthy period.
Okay. So after, you're doing it 24 years now.
I have.
In public.
Right, for the public.
For the public. What does that, is that one-on-ones? Do you do groups?
Do one-on-one. I would not have chosen this profession, as a profession, but I've been married, then was divorced. And I was thinking, how am I going to generate some money in here? I had married so young. Obviously, I'm intelligent. I'm teasing. I
do what you want,
I have
right.
the goods, but I wasn't
Right.
trained in anything. And I would, when I would go through like the classified ad in a newspaper on a Sunday, at that time, these are the olden days, and I would read through those and I would become physically sickened because I wasn't qualified in this. I wasn't qualified in that.
Remember circling them and
Yes, but I couldn't. I was like, egads, But in truth, there's many things I could have done, and I certainly could have studied, but that was it. And so I
Girl,
was
I
reading
love it.
Friends, and
yeah,
no.
I didn't go to college either.
Oh
Did the
my
same
goodness, we
psych thing.
really
What's
just
your
traveled.
birthday?
My April 11th.
Okay, I love that day. It's mine's July 30th.
Okay, close enough.
Close enough.
But gold.
Mm-hmm.
But gold.
We're good.
We're good. And so I was reading Friends, Friends of Friends, Friends of Friends of Friends, and that was here.
Mm-hmm.
And my older son, Toby, then said to me, Mom, you might as well as work somewhere and generate and make some money. So that's how I started, is stepping out into the public. Again, I read strangers, but they were referred to me, but out into the public and just reading that way, and stepped right into it, and read
And
them
it
back
just-
to back. And I was so thankful, I was so thankful that I was correct. Because there's such a
Right.
responsibility with this.
Right. But it's like
Personally, just your own ethics, your own values personally. And then, of course, people's
you're
lives.
supposed to.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you have to. Why would it be going on? And you still think you're more clairvoyant than claircognizant?
I would say, well, it could, probably maybe it is claircognizant because it's just a knowing. I do see things, but it's more than knowing. It's really more than knowing.
But that's so. I can't wait for you to read me.
I can't wait.
I would love to see things.
I'd love to.
I think that
we'll
I
get
just
that in and
go,
we'll-
I want to see
we
things."
can.
But I
we'll
want to
go-
talk
we'll go
about
on
like,
and on.
And people honing. There's 2 more things I want to talk about for sure, which is every person. We're born, right? We've got this entry into a world. Who knows what trauma we all experience at that
Yes.
moment? But like our brains are there and it's as pure and as open and as receptive as we're ever going to be. Do you think everybody gets a secret weapon at that time? Like some people get American Idol voices, but some people, get gifts like this.
You mean the people that are actually reading for the public that are out there, or
Every
just
human
everyone?
born.
I think everyone has it. I think it is to different degrees. I do believe people can focus and maybe study or learn and, hopefully open that up or expand that area for themselves. But I think everyone has it. How many times people will say, I knew that, or it's just their gut feeling. It's like, shoot, I should have paid attention to that. And they were correct. They were absolutely. So I think it's innate, just like within animals. I just think within us as humans, I just think it's present. I really do. I really
so the
do.
pressures we put, if we were conversationally, like you have a business meeting and you're like, you know what? I have a bad feeling. I just don't want to drive there. I know it's really important, or my wife or husband or friend is telling me not to. I'm not going to go. That would freak someone. I'd be like, what? You're not going to come to the meeting? But if we were having conversations like that in life, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. If someone went, oh, I hear you, dude. I didn't go to a dinner last week. Be like, right, yeah. We'd all be using it as excuses all the time.
Right, like the LA traffic.
Right.
It's a given. But you're right. I think it's correct. There is societal pressure of just showing up even if you feel you probably should not. And, what do you do with that? I mean, where do you find...
There's a difference between don't feel like it and feeling like I shouldn't.
Exactly. And I think that when people are trying to explore into that area, I think that's very key, that it not be your thought, but it actually is something that you really are receiving.
And how often do we argue that thought? You're like, I shouldn't go. Oh, my God, it's because you're lazy. Oh, my God, it's because you're that.
Yes.
You go.
Yes.
Get a flat tire.
Right.
You don't even make it to the meeting. You're like, ah.
Absolutely.
And
wanting to not go could be because they really feel they should not go. But you're right. There's that dialogue where there's this second guessing that just goes back and forth and back and forth. And what do you do? Really, what do you do with that?
Right. Oh, sorry. I just got, I have to turn.
I hear that.
I'm like, I'm on the side doing all my stuff.
I'm teasing.
We'll cut that there.
Okay, thank you. That's Tony. A boy came in.
Yoo-hoo,
We're so fun, even boys giggle.
You can call it any way you want.
Okay, this was a note that Melody put about, have her tell the story about the dice on the floor and your son running out of the room with the Rambo knife.
Yes.
Is it Toby?
It's Toby.
Toby.
Good girl. See? You're on target. It was Toby, and what happened, it was a weekend, and so therefore no, school the following morning. And it was later, and then I went to bed, his father went to bed, and he was in our in our family room watching TV. And even when I said goodnight to him on the, side table, the end table, there were their games of Christopher and Toby's. There were, dice there. There were all a collection of different
Stuff
things.
that you have with kids.
Right, things you have. And so we go up to bed, and what his story, what happened to him is, and then I'll work in the other part, is that he was sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden he just saw this flash, like out of the corner of his eye, a movement, a very quick movement, and ping. And so, he notices this, he continues to watch TV, goes back to that, and then it happens again. Just this quick movement, and then ping, and then he
How old is he?
I think he was about 11.
Okay.
And then he thought, maybe it's the kitty cat. And he looked, and it was not our kitty cat. The kitty cat was nowhere to be seen. So we went back to watching, television again, and it happened a third time. So that frightened him. And he got up and he looked, and here what happened, it had hit behind of a shelving unit that ran, it was quite large, but it ran behind the couch. So it was hitting the metal on that and then dropping to the floor. And so he looked and he saw the three, there were 3 dice, they were laying there.
Oh, that just gave me the
So
chills.
Yes. And,
oh, my God.
And so God love him. There was a very large family room. So he went and turned out all the lights. He certainly didn't have to, but he went and he worked his way through the room, turned off all the lights, went through the foyer, up the stairway, and then I awakened because I hear, Mom, like that, and I open my eyes, and there's Toby with his serrated Rambo knife and the compass on the bottom, just, inches away from me. And then and as he went up the steps to come up to the second floor, the voice said, I can't do it as high, but it was like, Toby, wait, don't go.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
And he would have breathing in his room too. He would come to me and he just would say, Mom, I hear. So that's that. Again, we kind of just process, deal with it, and then we just go, we're off the next day to whatever.
So fascinating,
Yes,
isn't it? When it's integrated, it's just integrated.
And if you just I think that's kind of sometimes I think when I look back at it now, I think that maybe is the approach for people, even wanting to expand their own. I think it's just a natural thing that can happen, and you're experiencing it. Yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it's frightening. Yes, it can be,
but is it?
Telling you, but is it? Exactly.
But is it?
It's just, exactly.
If we're not experiencing it and it's happening, I'm jealous.
I know, aren't they? I love ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love ghost stories.
I watch them.
I just love them. I love to hear them. And then I don't really tell mine. I'm telling you, but I really, not just because I don't think to tell them. And then if I do mention it to someone who had known me for years, she goes, Lynn, you've never told me that. Or,
you're selective. You're like, it happens all the time.
Right. 24/7. I could drive in.
It happened 5 minutes ago. Glad I made it.
Right. Wait till I get to tell you
what
I know about, what I just heard about you. But no. Yeah. So it's
so
like that.
Our other commonality is animals and the love for animals.
Yes.
And I am amazed with pet psychics. I feel like I do. I know I communicate with my animals, and I know when something's wrong, and I go, look.
That's
and,
so
I feel like it, but
Of course you
I'm
do.
also, one of those ladies that love her dogs.
Right.
But have you done this work for 24 years, or you're just branching into it?
I've done it. I haven't not done it consistently over 20 years, but I know like deep body emotional release, that is something I did study because I thought that would be helpful, because when people would come to me, clients, there's a lot going on within them. And I thought if I can clear some of those fears or worries or concerns or just attention, tension itself, and just kind of clear that out for them, just give them a little ease. I think this is, would be very helpful. But I studied it, it was very, that was easy. And I would find I receive intuitive things too when I would work on people. But I then decided I really did not, want to pursue that. And that's what I used with animals, basically. You can get a sense of just where an injury is. For them, they're so sensitive.
Yeah,
they're so pure.
Much.
Their hearts.
I love them so much.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
I do too. I
go through the
them as
loss
well.
and I go get more.
I do too, and I'm just naturally, I'm someone who's very intense with the loss. I mean, I cannot stop crying for days. It's just, that's the way I am, because that's just
They're our friends. They're our companions. Like they live with us, and
right. They're our babies.
Do you get their thoughts?
I can get I can pick up how they're feeling, what they're thinking. If sometimes they behave in a certain way sometimes people will think, oh, it's because they've been traumatized, they've been abused. Oftentimes, that could be. It can be there's a pain. Maybe they have a toothache. Maybe they have a sore, obviously, a sore, a pain. Maybe they're sick, physically sick with maybe a cancer that's beginning. But oftentimes, too, it can be within the home because there's so much. Look at what we've covered. We're like this. You and I, not everyone is, but we're quick. We can think of different things. We can talk about this, and we can shift around.
I know.
People, some people. This, I don't think. I would not say we're this. This I will qualify.
We might be this later. We don't know.
I think we're a little upgrade. But they're emotional this way. They're emotional that way. They're upset. They're yelling. They're crying. They're laughing. And, animals, and specifically speaking of dogs, cats, those, and all animals, rabbits, they're very intuitive. look, they lead the blind.
Yeah, my dog Tillman. So anytime I'm on the phone, and I kind of have bitch voice, like I kind of sound like I'm angry when I'm not. So people are like, "You're super aggressive," but I'll be on the phone and I'll be like, "What happened?" And Tillman will just get up and leave, and I have to be like, "I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you." It's like, okay, but he'll do it over and over, and he's 11. I'm like, "Why are you so guilty?
Yes.
What'd you do?"
Right.
You just go do. You here, you feel all guilty, just waiting for me to find out your secrets.
Do you find something?
No, he's the best dog ever. He does nothing.
Exactly,
He's just walking
no.
around
I think-
guilt-filled.
Right. And I think that's a fun way to go about it. And
Yeah.
I found too, like sometimes people, not this situation that you've told me, so not you, and at all, is that people will give, like, the dog, whatever, choose something or whatever. Maybe it has anxiety, who knows? But they will put a human behavior to it. Oh, the dog's angry with me. And that's why they did whatever. I don't really see.
I think the dog just wanted the garbage.
Yeah, the dog was bored. The
Yeah.
dog, whatever. The dog could smell something right. The dog was being a dog.
The dog likes my shoe, a
Right.
certain slipper.
Of course.
Don't
or
buy
your
the
scent.
slipper.
It could be your scent that is very comforting to them too.
And so dogs can learn, I think I read somewhere 128 words, or it's probably more rounded than that, but do they think that way? That's why I asked if you get their thoughts, or do you just like, they're happy, they have pain, they're a little uncomfortable, like I get their mojo versus like,
No, they'll tell
hey,
you.
treat.
No, they'll tell you. They'll tell you, or you see a little bit there. You will sometimes see a little bit of a picture, so they may be, relaying that to you. But they'll tell you certain things that they like. For me, it is. I don't hear their voice,
Right.
But they communicate. They communicate,
I believe that.
and it's just regenerated from them to you.
They don't even know what you do in the daytime. They're just like, you hear me? Oh my God, you hear me.
That's just
all animals love me.
Yes.
I think it's because
I'm sure they do.
they do. Well, one dog didn't. My brother's dog, Slinky. He was a dick. He was a total dick dog.
Well, maybe Slinky didn't care for that name.
Yeah. I don't think he
teasing.
didn't like women. He
didn't-
really just
that
liked
can
dudes.
happen. And that can just be the way that they are designed.
I take it super, like, people don't have to like me, but when a
Yes.
dog doesn't, I'm
Right.
like, I need to go cleanse myself, and what am I
Right.
doing wrong? It's like, I gotta
Right.
breathe it out and think, like you were saying. I hope
hear
people
that.
connected on so many things, because we did jump and we are quick, but that you said, like, the cleansing out of that traumas that you happen, that could even happen at birth, but those moments where you go to
Absolutely.
breathe and you feel like it's caught in your stomach, those are things that need to be punched out of your body,
Absolutely.
psychically or spiritually or energetically.
Yes. And even in utero, there's a thinking in utero, what your mother maybe experiences, you being in utero can, be influenced or affected and absorb that as well.
Yeah.
So then you
It's so
could-
true.
We're all,
We're just allowing ourselves to discover the world of humanity, aren't we? It's like, no, we discovered the world of rules, which are important in societies, and the world of, a pyramid hierarchy where one person's going to be accountable for everyone else, which is crazy as population increases, and one world, right? And we've raised our kids to be those people and connect different ways. So I feel like we're just starting to talk. My parents, we didn't talk about sex, drugs, feelings, shames,
nothing.
nothing. We just didn't. It just wasn't what you did.
And you were just more or less that it was just a way of life.
You were just tough, yeah.
Just
just
right.
tough.
Right.
Just tough.
Right. Well, there's something to that too. I know what you're saying in regards of not speaking about that, which would be helpful, because it just helps, I think, in a way to identify maybe certain things that are taking place within yourself, but also that toughness. It serves in life. You don't have to be outwardly tough, but internally, I think it helps sometimes to just navigate and
Yeah.
get through, through life.
There's something about when you deal with grief or whatnot, or something. Somebody puts a chink in your shield, right? It's like, "Ugh."
Yes.
And you decide, like, for me, like, you get things that are like claws, and you're like, dang it, I should have said this, or I wish this, or why'd they hurt me so bad? I'm never going to have closure.
Yes.
And the minute I get down a path of that addiction of thought,
Yes.
it's the minute I have to let it go because it's not healthy.
good.
It doesn't really matter. So part of that toughness needs to be like rubber. What bounces off,
right,
I'm
exactly.
rubber, you're glue,
Yes.
So
it's not a harshness.
yeah, and internally women think, or I shouldn't speak for all women, that you think, oh no, that's just me being, I should reach out, I should do this, I can
yes.
swallow it. As lately, I'm like, no, my kindness, don't mistake in that for like
People do.
I mistake it
Yes.
in myself, the
Yes.
internal conversations. And I think it's interesting to meet someone like you that can faithfully trust it and be like, no, that's the one where I don't go to the business lunch.
Well, again, I'm human. I am human. I do make my mistakes for sure. But again, I think for certain, but I do think that is, again, a part of it. And yeah, we're just trying to kind of work our way around, it
love
all.
it.
But also, too, what may happen with you is since you are intuitive, or whatever, however, have it, is sometimes, too, when someone or something's going on, do you see the larger picture?
Yes.
So you know what they're saying, why they're saying it, what's going to happen. So you see all this dimension, not what is just in front of you, but behind it and to the sides of it.
And then I get irritated.
And then you understand it. So therefore, I have found I then just let it go. I do not address it as I would if I did not perceive and understand that. And the important thing is maybe to address it, to speak up.
Do
just
you
like you're
address it
saying.
as you perceive and understand it? Because I had a situation today. It's so ironic. Or do you just go, I step back, I'm going to wait, have a coffee.
I have a tendency to just understand why they're doing it, what they really
And then
mean,
go.
and I just let it go. But I don't. I'm trying now to really apply for myself, because that can just run amok.
Patience
It's-
and listening. Are you going to try?
Well, I
like, that's
listen.
how I feel, because I'm like, oh my God, are we really going to go through this?
You just get to the
yeah,
punch.
like, I get it.
No, I, the patience isn't hard, but rather than what I would naturally maybe address if I didn't understand why or what they're thinking or all the layers to it
Yeah.
that just come in with it, I'm not addressing it like I think probably I should, and maybe it should just be addressed. I'm not running from it. It's almost like I have either maybe more compassion with it, or possibly I just have I understand it.
Right.
And I know what's going to happen.
It's like a connectivity.
Yes, I know
You
what's
can
going to
just
happen.
see-
It's not going to end this, or it is going to end that. But and so there's just that, exactly, the connectivity. And then with that comes just the acceptance of it. It's accepting.
I fucking love that. It is.
But it might be, maybe we're just ahead of the...
Or maybe we're narcissists.
Completely and totally.
You know what? The universe tells me I'm right all the time. All the time.
Right,
No,
all
no.
the time. I just can't help myself.
Oh my
That's the way it
This
is.
has flown by. Do you want to do a reading? Or will you
I would be more than happy to, and I would
do a
love
reading?
to.
I love
Absolutely.
I love it. So
All
I've
right.
lived my life like this.
Okay.
I believe in psychics' guidance. You can't sit and meet someone just like you go to church and people go, oh, well, that was the sermon. I didn't understand it. Right. Because sometimes it's not meant for you. Sometimes it's meant for whatever. So you can't, this is just for everyone. You can't be like, of course, she's going to be 100% right. Another 7 billion spirits walking around. You never know. But I'm a conduit for many people in my life. So I may not understand today, but I'll understand tomorrow. Something will come up in a month. And sometimes she may see something, instead of going right, I went left. And that's the path I choose. So we always have our own human divine intervention, and nothing. Your destiny is yours. You can't hand it over to somebody. But for me, if I didn't do this kind of stuff, I'd be in therapy.
No, you're right. And, you do want, with any information, I know for me, I want people to make their own choices with it. All I'm giving is just information. And whatever, if it looks like, oh, no, don't do, really it's just going to blow up if that happens. But they choose to blow it up. I tell them, go right ahead. And then if you want, come back and we'll just take it from there. Because it's your life. you have to pay attention to what you feel and where you want to go.
Did you see anybody? Anybody show up? I just got warm palms.
Did you just feel
Sweaty
something?
palms. Yeah, and a little,
Wow.
like the shake, like
Really?
just a little.
To your,
I did.
to
I
your-
actually
to your
got it
right?
super strong at one point. You were talking. It was early, and I thought, wow, I wonder if she just like someone came in to be like, I'm with you guys.
Could
the
be.
woman, Auntie.
Oh,
Could be
yes.
Auntie.
Could be Auntie. More than likely. Could
Probably
very
comes
well be
every
Auntie.
time. Auntie and, I mean, you got to call him Uncle.
Oh my goodness.
It's Auntie's affair in heaven.
what do we, what do we even call them anymore?
Uncle.
Uncle.
Not the creepy uncle, like the giving, loving.
Oh, that's very funny. So what I'm going to do in here is I use the tarot. I don't read tarot, but I use it more as a backdrop. But I do want to say this, and I'm very honest, is yesterday I was heading off somewhere. And you came in, so I'm just going to give you this right away. I wasn't focusing on you or
Oh my gosh, okay.
thinking it all. But what it is it just everyone has a lot going on in their lives. It's understood. You have a lot, or you feel you have a lot going on right now. And so there's a lot of thought within. So the considerations that you're giving, I feel that there's more clarity for you in a 7-month period, but I'm going to tell you the considerations. One is there's thought of, I think with the work that you do, there's thought of maybe expanding with it or adding something where then, whether it be a product or some idea or something along those lines in which you package and then put out there and profit from it. Mm-hmm. So that's one. And it's okay if ever you disagree with me. I always tell that people.
I'm
in
not
readings.
disagreeing.
Okay, excellent.
I'll
You'll be good.
because
We're
it's good to let her know. Also, with
I would
your
wanna know.
reader, you kind of got to be like, yeah, you're right. You don't want to be like, no, read me 100%. Like,
Yes,
I
I disagree, or you could say, nah, you know what?
Right, or
and
I'm
usually
trying
I can
to
explain
place it.
that, and then that'll kind of make sense. But again, so that's that. Then I feel that this is going on or what I was receiving, that goes on probably maybe during the next 5 months. Also, what's taking place is about moving. So I don't, there's thought of really making a big move. So whether it just be within, the United States, whether it is outside of the country and back and forth. But I also feel that there's thought about moving for you in here as well. And then with everything just kind of up again, about a 7-month period, which would take us, if this is now September, it takes us to around April.
Yeah.
Then I think you feel very clear, not that you're not clear, but feel very clear, very strongly within yourself as far as what you are doing, what actions you are taking, what actions you're not taking, maybe actions that you're just going to, to put off to the side and get to a little bit later. But
Oh my God, you're dead on. You're 100%
Oh,
dead
my
on what's
God.
going on in my life. Do you see me selling before I move? And it is a struggle, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay,
You're
let
exactly
me-
right. But I'm
excellent. I was just driving
I
down.
talked to you about my yard sale and all my crazy and why I've been out of commission this entire summer. I haven't been answering calls. I've been like, I got to get through my shit to create space to move.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear
Yard
this.
sale was 2 weeks ago. We just got.
I'm glad to hear this just because I was just driving. And it just, was thinking, tomorrow I see you. And then boom, that came in. So I'm glad, that I told you that. Sometimes you play it safe and then I'll just kind of look rather than going with what I was perceiving.
Interesting. Yesterday I was driving down a freeway and you popped in my head. I wonder if it was the same moment. And
You
I
know
brought it
what?
up.
In many ways, I would not be surprised
I bet it was.
if it was. I love that.
I do too.
That's beautiful. It's really beautiful. All right. So you want to know, are you going to?
All those things you were talking about, like I don't do vision boards. I don't do, so
No,
I'm
yeah,
like, I love the unknowns of life and going through it and being happy. That's my goal, be happy. I get to take a time out. I also need to make money. I want my boys to be happy. I care
Yes.
about people. I want to help people.
Yes.
Be interested if I ever have true love in the sense I
Okay,
think
with
I can
love,
love,
yeah.
love or be loved, but the traditional relationship's always been really hard for me.
Okay. So you don't
and
know if that's going to be coming in for you.
those things, and then where's my mom, my dad, and my sister? Where are they? Get in the room. Where are you?
They're obviously
They
they're
never
welcome.
really come in. They don't. I'm kind of bothered by it.
You are. Yeah, I'm not a
Kind of.
medium, so I can do that sort of
I
thing.
wonder if they
but it's such a different energy.
Their face, hey.
right. Blah, 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 blah. You're like, okay.
Get out of my face
You-
now.
okay, I've heard this one before. you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure you know. Who knows? Who knows? I'm
They
sure
could
they
show
do.
up
But you
anytime.
wanted to know in regards with love. That's it.
Kind
I could
of
do
love
I could
and
do a
moving,
general with
like,
you.
life. Like,
Okay,
where
let me
did
just
I
do an
go?
overview with
Am
you
I supposed
first.
to be talking to people? Like, am
Well-
I on the right steps to whatever that
What we
gift
spoke
is?
of. Oh, you're right. Your
But
own
yeah,
gift.
Like my own. Like, I didn't get to sing. I'm super
Oh
smart.
my
I
goodness,
did-
I'd love to sing too.
but like,
You
you know,
didn't get
like
to sing.
I'm not good at it. Like my gift. Like, what is
Oh.
my? Everyone gets one, and maybe
Yeah.
it really is just like
Don't you just think it's the magnificence of you? And I don't say that lightly.
I'd like to. I like.
Well,
what
you may.
I like what you're
we can
planting.
just turn off the cameras and we can talk.
Does that work?
But I
You know?
mean that. People radiate to you. People like you. You're very likable. I think
Thanks.
you also are very private. So you're very selective as far as what you're going to communicate or let you know what you let people know. You just
I did open up before I got here today. I don't know if you felt. I was like, okay.
you were very receptive and
Open
very open.
before we drove in. I was like, I don't know where she's at, but I'm like telling her it's okay
Oh, you were so ingratiating. You really were.
because it's nerve wracking, especially to record it. But you know what? I'm such a believer that
Yes, what's interesting? I had no concerns, no fears, nothing. I just wanted to be able to be concise with what I was saying so that it would make sense, rather than rambling on. Or,
well, no, we ADD'd our shit all the way through it, and it was spectacular.
right.
Yes, it
right,
was.
right. We were just naturally
Having
delightful,
lunch,
and it was great for others to experience.
We're glad you could join us.
Beauty and wonder. Let me see for you.
Holy.
Oh my goodness! No, this is
my
good.
God.
Oh please, that's the
5
one. It's
of-
like
no, not that.
Oh,
It's
good.
1, 2, 3, 4 of 6
4 of
the-
6 in the money
in the.
in the pentacles.
What do they call these?
Oh, I know the major arcana.
The major arcana.
Yes, and there's only 22.
Yeah.
So and look at this, we're just rolling in. There may
Oh my
even
gosh, I
be
keep getting the chills.
more that are coming in. So
Oh wait, that's not one. Okay, I got
just for
excited.
you generally, there's just you're trying to find your balance too right now. It's just fine
And
trying to
purpose. Like it's not about me. It's about.
Yes. But for you, truthfully, there's also been, I'd say, around the tail end of last year, I just think there were a lot of maybe changes or shifts that either directly took place in your life or you within yourself on an organic, just natural way. Just
2020?
kind of shifted.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of that is that's like above you and over you. So that's wide open as far as what you want to be doing. I hear you trying to make the decisions, trying to see, what is it? But, again, we narcissists.
Us damn narcissists.
I know. We're such an inclusive. We are the inclusive narcissists.
We're so
We're a rare
inclusive
breed.
that we-
right. Usually it's all about them, but we're so inclusive.
We've got to include ourselves
We
in it.
include the other person, which is not the way. But for you, it really is about. I just see you kicking around, definitely, obviously, ideas, but it is about you just create, basically, literally, you have it within you. And so I think that you may know it, but I think it really is that recognition of that strength.
What is
of
it?
that direction.
What is in me?
I think it's just for you as far as a business, like what you would want to, anything.
Spirit.
just
Yeah,
anything.
work and life needs to. You can work
Well-
and contribute.
Well, let me think of that one. Well, yours, it's what's nice is that there's a lot of finances around you. So, you could be kind of, obviously, it's a comfort, but you also may be tired of that, in which I just don't want to continually always be generating that. But as far as.
Yeah, I stopped doing that.
Yeah,
That's
I
part
mean,
of my
it's
problem
all-
is I've got to put it together
Yeah.
in the, money has to be with what I do,
Right.
but I am done with the sellout moment. Like
Yes.
I'm not going back to that.
I know, and you won't.
Like helping. There's a balance of being paid for your work, even if it's helpful to the world.
Right.
You have to be,
Absolutely. I mean,
you
you
know.
should, but right. I agree with you. You won't. You don't want to. But and if I saw it differently, I would tell you, well, I don't get that. But I do see that it's just always accessible. It seems to be, which is good. I mean, that's touch wood, knock on wood, that you have the ability to generate money and to make money. This right now, it is a period of time where I can't, I'm going to get back to you on this. I'll give more thought to it, but I don't know that it's clear right now. So for you to be uncertain, unclear, even feel like I'm confused with this, that it's almost like getting to me, like, it's really starting to weigh on me, bother me, or this sense of not really madness, but feeling
Right.
like that. Just lay it down. You're not supposed to make it, do what you want with it.
Right. Okay. So that's how I feel.
it
Like
down,
I
lay
like
it down.
finally what I'm doing, clearing out the
You love
7
home.
months make out. I love home.
You love
Found
home.
out from COVID. And, I'm like going through the 7 months and I am starting a business with my friend Patty.
Right.
I joined her business. Pink Haze, Pink Sash. We're putting a product on the shelf. That's
Oh,
why we're here. It's
excellent.
cannabis.
Oh, excellent.
We have a
love hearing
Pink
this.
Sash Society. What women gather, plant-minded lifestyle women
Oh,
that
honey.
would love this. That we get together and we need to activate.
That you do. And you two work well together.
Okay.
There's a good camaraderie. There's a good relationship, a relationship there, and it's interesting. You can be in sync, and then you can also, not necessarily be in sync, but you come together with those ideas and really, join together with them, and that's so specific and so tailored. And it's, you would
Really?
think you'd think it has a niche to it. But in truth, I feel that that's probably can be very far reaching.
Getting the women and introducing them to women and the businesses that women are starting. We just look at
That's
it as
fabulous.
a conduit, or I do, as a conduit of introducing all the women in the world that are so busy that they want to, but they have 10 minutes. Well, what if we can connect them with 1,000 other women that have 10 minutes?
Oh, my goodness.
And collectively, they make some manpower. Because
Yeah.
one of them's really good at marketing and the other one's really good at organizing. The other one has a friend with a space. And you know what I mean? It
I
just
do.
works because that's how we connect as women.
Absolutely. And it strengthens, there's just this, a strength that comes up from within.
Where can everyone else find you and have this type of support in their life?
All right. I have a website. So it is my name, Lynn, LYNN, WOODS, psychic.com. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And there they can connect and, communicate with me via email, or there's also kind of a Google call in which they can call and leave a voice message, and I'm good. I stay on it. You know how responsible we are.
Yes.
Jeez. We
Jeez.
can't rest or have Japan.
Yeah, that's why we went long today. We're like, is anybody knocking on the door yet? We're good, right?
Yeah.
Just hide out in the black room and do everything.
Yes.
Um,
So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
appreciate
so
that
much. No,
offer
this
of
was-
providing that.
I like you. I think we can be
I
friends.
like you. I like you too.
You're the 411. You're the information. April 11th.
Yes.
Do that number thing. Thanks for everybody for listening. We will have Lynn's information on the website, and she's redoing her site. So if you have any problems, do the Google call. Look up the Pink Sash Society. We talked about that
Oh,
today. That's a place that women are connecting. You can connect with us too. We're Southern California, but we're moving rapidly across the United States. And I think you should come do a talk on one of them, one of our sessions. We do virtual too now, but
That's gracious.
it's just
and
little things
generous.
for
Thank
people
you.
like, I don't know, we'll come up with
Okay,
something cute. We
I
do
will.
crystals and
Well,
weed.
whatever.
We do cannabis.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
We'll
Look, she's in.
we'll just do it.
Yeah, we're going to just
Period.
do it. Thanks for listening and coming to lunch. You can follow us and find us wherever you just did. I'm Stormy Simon across every platform. Leave a review if you'd like, and see you next time for lunch.
Oh, that's nice.